Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin said that any Jew who keeps the Torah and mitzvot and observes Shabbat in all its detail, but does not feel the delight of Shabbat, will surely receive their place in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, but will be like a park bench there. This teaching is based on a pasuk, a verse from this week's double parasha, Aharei Mot-Kedoshim, one that we'll read this morning, chapter 18, verse 5. Ushmartem et chukotai vet mishmatai, asher yaseh otam ha'adam v'chai bahem, ani Adonai. You shall keep my laws and my rules, which the man shall perform and live by them. I am Adonai. While some commentaries like Rashi and Targum Onkelos believe that the observance of mitzvot guarantees a place in Olam Haba, the world to come, Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin turns that idea on its head. He believes the experience of the world to come only matches how we live in this world, now. If we are only rote observers of Torah and mitzvot, we are living a vacuous existence. It is not enough merely to observe. We have to infuse life, with vitality, with vigor, with passion, with delight. The Sfat Emet teaches that by doing mitzvot in that way, we fulfill our true image implanted in us by God, living out the life force that is uniquely and solely ours alone. Without that life force, we are inanimate objects, park benches in the world to come, as lifeless as we have been in this world. But that's not the only way this verse is read. The rabbis push this verse to its next level to extract out the principle of pikuach nefesh, the precedence of saving a life. In Talmud Yoma, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav Shmuel, using our verse, "You shall keep my statutes and my ordinance which a person shall do, and live by them, chai bahem, that he should not die by them. V'chai bahem v'lo sheyamut bahem." This principle places the utmost importance on the saving of a life, even at the expense of transgressing any of the commandments, with the exception of the cardinal three sins: idolatry, sexual impropriety, and bloodshed. This teaching, pikuach nefesh, is an expression of the religious commitment to humanity and the importance of giving primacy to life rather than strictly obeying the letter of the law. Pikuach nefesh obligates us to treat others as if all lives matter, and in certain ways are dependent upon us for saving them. We cannot be bystanders when life is in danger. We are exhorted to act, even at the expense of the mitzvot, for the sake of saving a life. Maimonides further expands the meaning of this verse, v'chai bahem, and live by them, and teaches in the Mishnah Torah, the whole purpose of the laws of the Torah is not to bring vengeance into the world, but rather to engender compassion, kindness, and peace in the world. Chai behem, live by them, gives permission to desecrate Shabbat for the sake of saving someone who is in danger, and according to Maimonides, it articulates the most profound purpose of the Torah, to be a life-giving force, not a life-suppressing force, and to create a society filled with more compassion, more dignity, more love, more justice, and more peace. I thought about all these teachings as I sat and waited for the verdict in the trial of the Derek Chauvin case this week. I was trembling when that pop-up came on my phone that the verdict would be announced in an hour, and we actually were in a meeting. Would our country burn in anger and go up in flames, or would there be a sense that we were making some progress toward that vision of love, justice, and peace? I was stunned when the verdict was spoken. Guilty, guilty, guilty. I was speechless. I have to say, I didn't think it would go that way, because nothing in the history of this country before, for a trial such as that, would have indicated that it would have gone that way. On the one hand, it's the first time a white policeman on duty has been convicted of killing a black man, which feels big and historic. But the same week, Dante Wright was killed at a traffic stop by a policeman in the same city in Minneapolis, and Makia Bryant was killed by police in Columbus, Ohio. 1,000 people a year are killed by policemen. Derek Chauvin had his knee on the neck of George Floyd for almost 10 minutes. It is so off the charts. He treated George Floyd like he was an inanimate object, like a park bench. There's no dispute. We all saw it on video. And that is probably what got the conviction. But a black man who goes out for a jog in a neighborhood, or takes out a wallet from his pocket, or a black woman who is just sitting on her couch in her apartment, have they not the same humanity? That's why this conviction also feels so very small. And getting back to our verse, the rabbis have drawn so much out of these handful of words, and there is more to say, according to the rabbis. They push and prod further. Ushmartem et chukotai vet mishmatai asher yaseh otam ha'adam v'chai bahem ani Adonai. You shall keep my laws and my rules, which the man shall perform and live by them. I am Adonai. Commentaries note the shift in the verse from you shall keep my laws, to ha'adam, a person or a man shall perform and live by them. Why does the orientation of the verse change from the second person, the you, to the third person, ha'adam, when it comes to v'chai bahem, a person shall perform and live by them? The Sifra, the Midrash, teaches, Rabbi Yirmiyah said, from where is it derived that even a non-Jew who observes the Torah is like a high priest? From our verse, B'chai bahem, a man, any man, shall do and live by them. It doesn't say that Kohanim or Levites and Israelites shall live by them. In addition, there are a number of verses that speak to this, one of which comes from Psalms 118. Pitchu li, open the gates and let them come in. The righteous, any righteous, tzadikim yavo uvo, any righteous person can come in. Even a non-Jew who observes the Torah is like a high priest. The law of God is not the exclusive domain of the people of Israel, nor is the possibility of righteousness or the ability to serve and truly live. Any human being can be considered a high priest, righteous and good and holy. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch teaches life, the teaching, the proximity to God, happiness and well-being is not open solely for Israel with these Torah laws, but for everyone. Everyone who draws their outlook on life and humanity out of them and who elevates them to the heights of pure humanity is a high priest. This very powerful, in some ways, deeply radical teaching breaks down a hierarchy of existence, wipes away the possibility that life and happiness and law is available only to some and not to others. Anybody and everybody is granted the possibility, v'chai bahem, v'lo sheyamut bahem, to live by them and not die by them. Our country and its laws has a hierarchy, a built-in hierarchy about the value of life for some, but not for all, a preservation of life for some, and not for all, and a commitment for justice and dignity for some, but not for all. The author, Sarah Centillis, writes, "White people can hold automatic weapons, intimidate government officials, storm federal buildings, and scream at police officers with no consequence. Meanwhile, Black people can't walk through their own backyards, can't carry Skittles home from the convenience store, and can't drive without risking being murdered. V'chai bahem, a person should live by them and not die by them. It is upon us, aleinu, to awaken our own vitality, to make our Jewish community teach and live by a Torah of love and justice, internally within our community, given all its diversity and all the ways we embody the blessings of this country and its curses. And it is in our power, it is upon us to do all in our power to understand the corruption of law in this country and the proliferation of injustice. It is upon us to learn the stories of hierarchy and power and oppression and abuse in our tradition, in our communities, and in our country, and also, by the way, in Israel. It is upon us to use another verse that appears in this week's parasha, to not sit idly by, but to demand our country's laws and its institutions allow and ensure that each and every human being has the safety and security to be seen in the glory of the high priest. No one is a park bench. No one is a park bench. Let us live and not die. V'chai bahem. Let us truly live. Kain yehi ratzon. So may it be.